evening, everyone. Could I ask you to please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance with us? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening and welcome to our January 2020 first meeting of the new year. Hope everybody had great holidays and great breaks. And we'll move right to staff reports to start. I have just a couple of notes, mostly to do with the agenda this evening. After we have our presentation from Katie Vecchio, we're going to table items 1 and 2 this evening. We're ready to consider this evening, but we had some late information come in today that we have to go through and review. We don't want to rush it. So we will later this evening, we're going to enter into executive session and look at details of the contract that came to us at a late time. So we are going to table those two, and I sent an email out. I hope the trustees got it. You may not have seen it when I sent it, but okay. Everybody was okay with that still? Okay, excellent. So those are my notes there. I'm going to move on to the police department and see if they have any report tonight.
No.
Nothing tonight? I'm going to move to Altamont Fire Department. Oh, there he is.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? You can raise it up if you'd like, sir.
So just real quick, just want to introduce our officers for the year and say Happy New Year to everybody. Also thank you for your support for the fire department, to our new officers. So out of a new lineup this year, Chief is myself, Kyle Haynes. Assistant Chief, we have Tommy Tubbs. Captain is Alex Oliveras. First Lieutenant, Desmond Dover. Second Lieutenant is Steve McGibbon, and one not in attendance is Brian Vecchio, Second Lieutenant. But again, thank you, and look forward to serving you guys.
Well, thank you, and congratulations to all of you.
And we do have a report being submitted that's detailed.
Yes, excellent. Thank you so much. Public Works. Oh, sorry. There you go.
We've been busy working on our maintenance this past month, working on our mowers and changing oils and stuff like that. And we had a water main break, I think it was December 17th at the entrance of Bozenkill Park. It caused quite a bit of problems to the village, loss of pressure for a better part of the day. We had a couple valves that we couldn't locate, found one valve that we didn't even know existed. It was buried about a foot and a half in the ground on the side of the road. We had another water main break day before Christmas over the fairgrounds, which was actually a bigger break, but we were able to just turn it off. We didn't have to dig that one up. I think the usage that day was over 400,000 gallons, which was, I think, the highest day of the year. That's about it. We're just picking up trees and trying to keep the roads salty.
Yeah, it's been good. Any questions for Jeff?
How long have you been picking up the trees for?
Until we're,
Till then, okay.
believe it or not, we still pick some up in June. Diehards.
What was going on today with paving? What is that?
Oh, that was the state DOT.
And they can do that in January?
They put a special patch in. We do the same thing. It's got more of an adhesive binder to it, so a lot of it, we may have to come back and address in the summertime, but, you know, that's what we've been doing too, patching a few odds and ends. It's a lot more expensive than blacktop, but it'll stay for the winter.
Yeah, I saw the state's been out on other roads and other municipalities doing the same thing.
It's
Recently.
tough with if it was just stay cold or warm, it'd be one thing, but the heat and the cold
Yeah.
just brings the devil with it.
Yep, understood. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's go to the treasurer. I think everybody had a chance to review the vouchers out back. Can I have a motion to accept the abstract from Catherine?
Yeah, I think that I did review it.
Dean, and second,
I'll second it.
John, and roll call, please.
Trustee Whalen,
In favor?
Trustee Ganance,
In favor.
Trustee Farrakhan,
In favor.
Trustee Scally,
In favor.
Mayor Janine.
In favor. I'm going to go to public comment at this time. If you have any comments you'd like to share with the board, come on up to the microphone and let us hear what you're thinking.
Ed Newman, 114 Lark Street. I just wanted to put it out there to thank John Sands for the decorations that he puts up every year. I don't know that he ever gets acknowledgement for it very much, so I would like to thank him very much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, they were really great this year.
Okay.
Yeah, we've made we always try to take a moment and thank John every year, and we send him a letter on behalf of the village. It's kind of customary, and him and his family have done this for quite some time, so they were really nice this year too. They were nice and large. So, anybody else have something? No, I don't see any movements, so, okay. I'm gonna move on to our presentation tonight. I think if you were here a couple months ago, you might have heard some of this. It'll be a little repetitive. It's part of the public education program on the CCA, or Community Choice Aggregation Project, that we're considering for the village of Altamont, that goes along with surrounding municipalities of Guilderland, New Scotland, Bethlehem, Voorheesville, and there's Albany as well, things like that. So Katie Vecchio is here from Municipal Electric and Gas Alliance, or MEGA, and she's going to come up and give us some information. I know the board has some information in front of them. And thank you for coming back again.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Over here, Nate. I just want to recognize my coworker Nicole is in the audience, so if Nicole can just say hello. She and I and our coworker Louise are part of our CCA education and outreach team, so you'll be seeing us in communities such as this over the next few months, making these kinds of presentations and talking to public and residents to let them know about this program and how it can affect you. So I'm really happy to be back tonight. Last time I was here, my presentation was geared more towards the board as they were kind of entertaining the decision of whether or not to go ahead and work with our organization, MEGA, to pursue CCA and see if it would be the right fit for your village. So the board decided to do that, and we're pleased to now be working with you and for you to help spread the word about community choice aggregation to residents and small businesses and answer questions. So you'll notice this presentation is a little shorter than the last one, and it's really geared towards residents and their understanding of how this program would affect them. Oops. I think I have my own presentation. Sorry. I have a presentation for municipal officials and a presentation for residents, so a little bit different decision making on each part. So just going to make sure I have the right one. There we go. Okay. So first and foremost, you'll see these three letters thrown around a lot in the community and in print. So CCA, what are we talking about when we say community choice aggregation? First and foremost, we're talking about a group purchase of electricity. So, a similar concept to any kind of a group buying power model. If you go out and shop for a price for electricity on your own, you can be quoted a certain price, but if you gather together with all of your community members and go out to shop as a group, you can drive down your cost per unit. So that's kind of the model that we base CCA on. In this case, you're going out to shop for your electricity for your home, along with all the other residents that are eligible in the village of Altamont, joining 14 other communities. And we were recently hired by the City of Albany, the City of Schenectady, and the City of Troy to join this aggregation along with your village, the village of Voorheesville, the village of Altamont, and several towns that the mayor just mentioned. So we've got about 90,000 households that are coming together to go out to the market to say, give us your best price. And by doing that as a collective, we are able to drive down the cost per kilowatt hour. So it's a really powerful tool and a powerful model, and we're excited to be able to bring this to the capital region. The concept of CCA is able to help communities that want to support renewable electricity to be able to get competitive prices for that. A lot of communities in the capital region that are pursuing this program with us are very interested in prioritizing renewable electricity. And another thing that it helps to combat is kind of the energy telemarketers and door-to-door sales. This is a program that your elected officials set up on your behalf and a deal that they help to broker for you as an option. So it is always an optional program, and it's never mandatory or binding for any resident to participate. Residents always have the option to not participate. All right. So before I get into kind of the more details of the program, I just want to show this. I'm going to take this, if that's okay. So this is just a generic utility bill. It might look similar to your National Grid bill at home. Of course, you may have natural gas on your bill. But for the purposes of CCA, there's two portions of your electric bill that you may notice if you look at your bill at home. The delivery services, and that's what you're paying National Grid to get the electrons to your door. Their upkeep of the lines and the infrastructure. That does not change with CCA. You continue to be National Grid customers, and you continue to pay National Grid for delivering your electricity. Your power goes out, or there's a down tree on some lines, National Grid is still the one you call, and they still are responsible for restoring power. What CCA concerns is the supply services portion of your bill. So it is, whoops, sorry. So be more exciting if I can kick the screen over. So we're talking about this amount of this cost per kilowatt hour for electricity that you use times the amount of electricity you use in a month to get your supply price. Right now, this is the only portion of your bill that would change under CCA. You still continue to get one bill from National Grid, only instead of supplier National Grid, it will say supplier ESCO, Energy Supply Company, and then potentially the name of whichever supplier is the successful bidder of the program. So we really like this concept because with CCA, we're not just going out and shopping for third-party suppliers. We're promoting competition between those suppliers to bid as low as they can to give us the best price. They're bidding against each other to win your business as an entire community. So that's why the price for CCA can be so competitive. Okay. So some benefits of CCA we've already talked about. Competitive rates. The CCA price, gosh, I'm just stepping on everything. The CCA price is a fixed price. So right now, every month when you get your bill from National Grid, you see what the cost was for the energy you used last month. You don't know what that price is until they tell you. Because of the way National Grid purchases your electricity, they're buying it as you need it on the spot market. They're paying what it costs that day for you to use what you used that day. With an energy supply company, it's different. They can go out and purchase hedges and buy the electricity in advance. So they are passing along a fixed price to their customers. So that's a little note about the more competitive rates. And with the fixed price, you're getting that budget certainty. You'll know your cost per kilowatt hour over the term of the program. Different factors can affect electricity prices. We've seen it over the past couple of years with extreme cold winters, not this winter, but there have been cases where, prices have gone up. I think one year was almost 19 cents a kilowatt hour, and I think we all felt that when we opened our bills and thought, what have I been doing? We leave the TV on overnight every night. No, it was this cost per kilowatt hour that was really shooting up for various reasons. So you avoid those price spikes with the CCA program. I mentioned the access to 100% renewable electricity. This is a big factor for a lot of communities. And, for all of the various things you individually as a resident can choose to do for your own home if you want to support renewable electricity, this is a very powerful way that your elected officials can make a decision to have the default offering of your CCA program be 100% renewable electricity for every home. So that's a powerful tool to be able to change your carbon footprint and support renewable electricity collectively as a municipality. We also talked about, protection from predatory practices of energy telemarketers, door-to-door sales. A lot of times we find people come to our organization and they say, well, I already have, supply service through an ESCO, and I'm not really sure how I got into this. Or it was good for a while, the first 3 months, I was paying really low rate, but slowly over time my rate's gone up and now I'm paying opened up the energy market to say, okay, you don't have to buy your electricity from the utility anymore. You can buy it from a third-party supplier. It left smaller customers, like residents, vulnerable to some predatory practices. So there's a lot of customers out there. Many of them are very reputable, some are not. And so this type of a program helps vet all of the suppliers that make an offer on a bid, give us a price to say, is this a reputable company with an excellent record of customer service and is known for integrity and not ripping people off? And that's what we want to be able to do with CCA, is help communities choose a supplier that can offer them these benefits. So there's a bunch of steps in the CCA process, and this graphic is just sort of to illustrate this. Village of Altamont's already gone through step one. You look at your options, you decide, do we want to do CCA, and which administrator do we want to work with? So your community's already done this and signed an administrative agreement with my organization. And once that's done, we go out into the community to help people learn about CCA and understand their electric bill and what a CCA program would mean. The next step is the local law process that your village will undertake. They already have the authority to create this kind of a program. They just have to give it to themselves by establishing a local law to create the program. Everything to do with community choice aggregation is heavily regulated by the Public Service Commission and the Department of Public Service. So all of the documents, all of the work that MEGA does on your behalf in your community is approved by the Public Service Commission. So it's a highly regulated program in New York State. Once we have all of the communities in the capital region that want to participate, enact their local law to essentially be eligible to do the program, MEGA goes out to bid for a supplier on behalf of all those participating communities. So this capital region aggregation goes as far north as Glens Falls in the city of Saratoga Springs, as far south as the village of Kinderhook. Our eastern point is the city of Troy, and as far west as the town of Charleston, Sprinklers area, you know that? So that's kind of the bounds of the communities that are moving forward through this process of doing CCA. So everyone's right about here. I was in Guilderland last month where they had their public hearing and did their vote on their local law. So everyone's kind of marching through this process with the goal of having this program start in July. So once these bids are come in and we evaluate the pricing at various term lengths, 1-year pricing, 2-year pricing, 36-month pricing, and various other options in between, we select the low bidder, recommend those to the municipalities, and they can either choose the lowest bidder's default grid mix, standard grid mix price, or the price for 100% renewable. And that will be the default offering that all of the residents and small businesses that are eligible in the community can take advantage of. After that, we go out again, and I'll be back, or Nicole will be back. And because a lot of residents are if this was in my community, I'd be more interested, okay, well, what's the price? Well, right now, we don't know that, because we have to get through the process where we have all the communities with the local law so we can go to bid. Once that bid comes back, we find the bid, your elected officials say, great, we're in, or no, we don't like that price, we're walking away. We don't want to create a program at that price, which they're completely able to do and should do if they don't like the pricing. Then we go out into the community again and do a second round of education and outreach where folks can learn about what the price is, what their options are for supporting renewable or not, and how they can either be a part of the CCA or opt out of it. CCA is an opt-out program. That is the number one thing I get calls about and questions about. Why is it an opt-out program? Why do I have to tell you I don't want to be involved? Why can't I just join if I want to? Well, it's because of what we were talking about as a group going out to purchase collectively. We can assume a certain amount of residents are going to opt out and want to do their own thing. But what we have right now in your community is an opt-in situation. Each resident individually can make their own decisions about where they want to buy electricity. With an opt-out model, we're able to go out on your behalf and get a price assuming your participation. But it doesn't require your participation, okay? So it is an opt-out program, and there'll be a 30-day window that residents have to decide whether or not they want to go in the program. If you decide to check it out and stay, each month that you can make the same decision. Each day, you could decide you want to opt out. If you've opted out, another month could go by and you could want to opt back in. It's a program designed to give you the ultimate flexibility in making the decision that's best for your household at the time that you're considering. And there's never a penalty to leave the program or a fee to come back in. That's a contract term that you can get from the supplier if you were just an individual looking to buy electricity. So that's a really attractive feature, I find. So I mentioned this opt-out process. Once we have the price and we've done 30 days of education, all eligible residents and small businesses will get a letter in the mail. It will give you a card to mail back if you want to opt out, provide a phone number to call to opt out, and provide a link online that you can go to opt out online. So I mentioned, folks can leave the program at any time. There's also a hotline number in there which you could call, speak to me, Nicole, or our colleague Louise, and ask questions. Say a neighbor of yours doesn't come to a session like this and get kind of a presentation. They can still call and get the mini version over the phone and have us send them resources. So we want to promote this as a way for folks to learn more about their electricity choices. And CCA is designed to just offer another choice. In addition to choosing to opt in or out of the program, individual residents can choose to opt up or opt down. And what that means is if your elected officials decide to have the default offering be 100% renewable electricity, you can opt down from that choice and choose the standard grid mix at a different rate. Conversely, if the municipality decides to offer the standard grid mix price, you as a household could opt up individually to support renewable. Those options are available. So it really gives the homeowner a lot of flexibility to say, do I want to participate or not, and how do I want to prioritize what I'm supporting? That's really the gist of how the program works. There's a lot more details than that, and I have a few additional slides, but I like to open it up to questions and really see what do people think. Have you had experiences with ESCOs and energy supply companies in the past? And, are there any questions that I can answer? You're welcome to take the FAQ document in the back and think about it and get back to us as well if you have questions that come up later.
And Michelle was able to put the fact document online last night, on our website, so it's there as well.
So yeah, you can direct your friends and neighbors to that document too, so they can read about it.
Generally, what is the spread between 100% mix or 100% green and mix?
That's a good question. So the gentleman asked, what's the price differential between 100% renewable and grid mix? We won't know. We won't know until we see the bid. I can tell you the one other time that Mega has done a CCA. CCA is pretty new in New York. These are cropping up, but they're just beginning to. So the CCA we operate in the southern tier, we went out to bid about a year ago, and it was about less than half a penny difference between the standard grid mix price, which was just over 5 cents, and the renewable energy price, which was 5.4 or something. So pretty competitive. If anyone's gone out and tried to get ESCOs to give you pricing for 100% renewable, we were pleased to see it as a pretty competitive price.
The other question is, you have a certain percentage of people that are, you're basing it on 100% compliance, and then people opt out. Generally, you only have one as a reference now at this point, right? Okay. So what was the dropout ratio?
So, statistically across CCAs nationwide, so we have California as a model, Illinois, a couple other states, Texas and Massachusetts. ESCOs typically estimate about a 10% opt-out rate, right? So it can vary depending on a lot of factors. Pricing certainly it widely varies depending on community as well. So, that's really our goal. We never want anyone to opt out because they find out about it in 6 months and think, I knew nothing about this, I didn't make this decision, I'm mad, and I'm opting out because I feel like I got tricked. That's why I go out into the community. That's why we have YouTube videos where we talk with municipal officials. We're going to have radio ads. We want people to be comfortable that this is a legitimate program that your government is a good option to have out there. But we always want to leave the choice up to the resident. And if the resident feels like it's not providing them with value, or that it's not serving them well, we want them to be able to exercise that choice.
And then you get a quote, and it's good for, say, 1, 2, or 3 years of various options.
Well, we ask the suppliers that bid on our bid to give us pricing at different term lengths. So we want to see what price they would hold fixed for 2 years, what price would they give us for 3 years. When we make the decision on the contract term, it's going to be the same for all the municipalities. So if we choose 24 months, Altamont won't choose 24 months and Guilderland choose 36 months. That won't be the case. It's going to be the same for everyone. What will vary by municipality is renewable or not, or which is hard to say because grid mix does contain a percentage of renewables, but 100% renewable or not.
I was sort of leading up to what happens, you look at the national picture, and there's all these spikes in oil prices in the Middle East and stuff like that. So what happens if you get a bid, and it's a grid mix, so you've got oil, you've got gas, you've got renewables, and there's a war for men, and the price of oil goes up. How does that affect the people that submitted the bid at a particular price, and now their supplies are now subject to all these spikes?
If that happens, the price of the CCA is fixed. So the ESCOs that bid, for whatever reason, say a hurricane takes out an oil refinery in the Gulf, and we have huge price spikes because of supply issues in the U.S. The price of electricity is tied to the price for natural gas, too. So the price that an ESCO is promising and is contracted to deliver is fixed. They have that ability. Your utility company can't offer you a fixed price because they can't go out to the market and buy hedges against the supply that they're bringing. They just have to buy it and pass along the cost as you need it. Whereas ESCOs are able to use other financial mechanisms to protect that purchase and that contract price.
Is that statutory? That ability to not hedge and
Yes,
bonds and futures and so forth?
It has to do with the regulations on private utility companies in New York State. And all of the ESCOs that are eligible to bid on our bid have to be licensed and approved by the PSC. So we're only dealing with good players when we ask for bids. And we ask for a variety of things to show that the ESCOs bidding are robust enough to be able to make good on this offer. You know, that they're not just a small startup or a, well-meaning company that doesn't have kind of a good financial history. We really want to make sure we get some of the best to serve.
Is there anybody else that has something? The board even? I wasn't sure. We talked about it last time as well, and we have more to come.
I had a good question, actually.
Yeah.
And this actually, my first question is actually more towards the board and the village, and maybe this will want to revisit it, but I'm kind of curious what plan people are moving towards. Harvey asked you the question of what the difference was between renewable and the mix, and something that small, maybe a renewable is the option. But I'd like to hear from people, hopefully the hundreds of people watching at home could send me some feedback about what they were thinking.
And then we give an option, we can do the mix initially, and then they can opt out.
Yep, right, that is one of the options, or the other option is, can we say that we are going to be a forward-thinking, environmentally conscious government, and we're going to put the full renewables before people can opt down? That's what I'm curious about, what people are more
And
interested in.
item 6, we'll have a public hearing on this as well, so that's a perfect
That's my
time.
plug for people
That's
to
your
come out
plug
and
for
give
people
us
to come out, yeah.
All right, so my other questions were kind of also, what happens at the end of that term? I know I saw something in here that you'd have to renegotiate it. Say we decided this was an absolute disaster, we don't want to do it anymore. What happens to all the people that are signed up with this company? Do they stay with that company and they're on their own for the pricing? Do they default back to National Grid? What happens?
Good question. So, is this one? So, let's say we go through this, we find a supplier, we get a 24-month term, let's say. Coming up to the end of those 24 months, you all still have a local law in the books, right? We go back to say who will, who's in, right? Who of our existing aggregation, which communities would like to continue and repeat their involvement. We may have new communities in the capital region that say, we saw what happened the first time, now we'd like to be a part of it. We have communities that went through it that really wasn't good for us, and we're all set. And they back away, either they repeal their local law, or they just take steps to indicate they don't want to be involved. You did mention, what happens to the residents, right? So just as a precursor to that, the utility is always the supplier of last resort. So I think you're kind of alluding to what happens if something happens to this ESCO company that we've hired, and they can't make good on their promise and their contractual commitment to offer this price. Worst case scenario, if it all fell apart and those companies went belly up with no future, every resident would go back to the utility. They would just go back to the utility variable price. They are the supplier of last resort, and they're required legally to supply people with electricity. So no lights are going to go out. But yeah.
Here's where they ended up, so
Yeah.
worst case, we're back where we started.
Worst
Right.
case scenario, everyone's back with the utility and they can shop as they wish for a different ESCO individually. But, at the end of the term, so there's a commitment on behalf of the municipality to keep the program going over the course of the term. Individually, residents can opt out of it if they don't like how it's going. So yes, there will be a new aggregation built at the end of the term, refreshed, let's say, and we would repeat the steps to ensure education about CCA, which everyone who will have participated will at least be aware of what it is, and do a new round from here forward, go out to bid, have a new number of households and communities, get a new price and a new term, and give you that decision option again.
Do you have, not sure if it was stated before, but because of the collective bargaining, how much of a savings, like collectively throughout the United States and whatever, is there a price difference, or how much of a savings is there if we go with this versus just staying with the utility? Like, have you had numbers for this?
So it's always difficult to say when we talk to a community about how much are people going to save. So when we put the bid together to get a price, we are looking backward 1 year at the utility variable rate and what it did. So this is an actual, this drives me nuts because it doesn't have, marks on the X and Y axis. I'm like, what are we talking about? But just think of this as a price, right? I don't know however high it went. And that's a backward-looking curve, that blue line. The CCA fixed rate is a forward-looking curve. So we know for the 2 years what the rate will be. What we don't know is how far up or down this line will go, this blue line. So for communities that are looking at CCA saying, is this the way we're going to save a bunch of money? The answer is not necessarily. You may save. You may look at this time window here and say, wow, we really lost out because the utility variable price went down and we were up here. Now you didn't end up paying more because CCA is a fixed price, but you didn't take advantage of that market low. Conversely, folks that are on a fixed price through a polar vortex period where prices quadruple look like they really made out. So, it's an average over the course and we won't know. We won't know because we can't have that forward-looking ability. But we look at historical pricing, we look at averages over the last 5 years, we look at market projections, and we try to make sure that, we're giving a rate that's competitive. Is it a guaranteed savings? It isn't.
So can I ask a different way then? Obviously, it's impossible to give people a number because we don't know what the bids are gonna come in at, and we don't know what's gonna happen with the Middle East or hurricanes or whatever like that. But you've done this for a number of years. In other areas that have done this, are you able to see what the folks that were on CCA saved compared to their peers that weren't? Again, it's historical, but it at least gives us an idea of
So when CCA first started in New York, it was done in a pilot program in Westchester County, and that was the only place they allowed it to operate. It was kind of like a little test kitchen to see how this is going to work. The administrator, which was not MEGA at the time, later reported to the Public Services Commission that they saved $11 million for residents. Now, that's Con Edison territory, very different rates, very different time that happens, but that was the kind of the indicator that, okay, this can be advantageous.
what was 11 million out of that?
How many households was it? How much was it per home? I couldn't tell you because I think it depends a lot too on, on what people have been paying. So there isn't a way to say people generally save 10% or people generally save. There's nothing like that. people may come back after a program like this and pay slightly more than the utility, all right? So that's a possible outcome. And you'll know when you see the prices that we get after the bid, is that on par with what we've seen? Now, this year, since last summer, we've seen market lows, historic lows, 3 cents a kilowatt hour. Really shockingly low pricing. And their prices are staying low right now because of the mild winter. Will that always be the case? History tells us no. History tells us there will be volatility in the market. In the next year, do we expect to see a price spike like 19 cents per kilowatt hour? We don't know, you know? So choosing to lock in at a fixed price is a bit of a gamble in terms of you don't know. It's an insurance policy, let's say, right? I have fixed rate mortgage. I just do. That was the choice that we made. That the month after we locked in our mortgage rate, rates fell. These things like this happen. Now, do you pay more? No, you pay what you were expecting to pay. Does it look like you could have saved money? It does. So that's something to keep an eye on, certainly. And residents that want to opt out will do so at times when the market falls below.
All right, one last question, and I'll give it over to you. You were talking a little bit about how we choose the term, we choose, who the provider is. I understand we is not we, this board. How do you guys do that? Do you take input from the municipalities? Do you take it from municipalities? Or that's just where your expertise takes over?
Yeah, so we have a team on Mega's end that evaluates the bid. And we're looking at the low priced and the best value option. It tends to become obvious, right? I mean, when you see pricing, but we do not a webinar, but a briefing basically for your elected officials to say, this is what we saw in the bids. This is what we're recommending.
That's not a recommendation, though.
Well,
You're
this is,
picking the
yeah,
term
I
and
mean,
company.
right. So the time we did this once before, I wasn't involved in the bid process. I was relatively new then. So I could get you some more details on how that decision is arrived at and what type of input the board has in that decision. We tend to look for the lowest price.
Okay.
So if we can get the lowest price at 24 months, but you don't really mind that extra, 0.2 of a penny to get the 36-month price, and that's what you really wanted, then we kind of make the recommendation based on all of the municipalities. Is there any kind of voting? I'm not sure. I'd have to check. It might get a little unwieldy then as well.
That's why I'm asking, is how you come to that decision.
Yeah, I think we look to do a program that's long enough to have some value, because we have to go back to bid, kind of 5 months before the end. So if we chose a 12-month price, we'd be repeating the process so frequently, it may not have the benefit of sticking with it.
And the benefits of the fixed price is that prevents the ebb and flow of the market too, so this one should be paying for 24 months.
Yeah, the longer term, the more, fluctuations you get kind of evens out the investment.
I just want to reinforce the point that you put to it. If you look at that chart, even if the yellow line is slightly higher over, call it a year, okay, than the volatility of the blue one, the real point is it's a fixed cost per month, particularly for fixed income people, but in general for people, at least they know what they have to put out over their entire year, even if it's slightly higher than it might have been. But it's not that month of February when they said they're going to put $200 more out a month. That's not a happy month for most people. So I just wanted to reinforce the fact that it's really just like when you buy oil at a fixed rate in June. It's the same concept where you're getting that rate. It may actually be higher by the end of the winter than some people are paying for oil each month. Again, you take, as you said, but you also know what your cost is every month.
That predictability is peace of mind, right?
Sorry, I have one more question.
Bring it home.
What is what is the timeline like? When would you be doing that second round of outreach? I'm trying to think of ways to, I love the folks here, but there's a lot more out there that don't cover it.
Absolutely.
So there's other events and places where we can get you in front of people.
And we're always open. We want to hear what's the best way, because every community is different. We are doing this first round of education and outreach this few months. We've had communities that have completed their education and outreach in November and December, but we have a cohort that are doing it now with the goal of having your local law passed and happen, the resolution adopted by March 1st. So then we would prepare the bid, do that in March, April, and I have to look at our master calendar. This is all assuming everyone, makes the deadline and there's no delays regulatorily either. Because in the past, we've had a lot of regulatory delays, but we don't anticipate that at all. We would do a second round of education and outreach in May, and send the opt-out letters in June,
Okay.
and then start the program in July, August, depending on people's meter date.
Okay, so spring, summer.
Spring, summer, yeah, to have it flowing and have the program starting this summer. That's our goal. And I would mention, so, back when I first came here, this is the territory we're talking about of where communities who want to participate are eligible. So it's within this load zone F of the ISO. And the communities that are yellow, so they're in National Grid territory and not another utility. These are the communities that are in. So if ever there is an education and outreach session in Gilderland, so the town is in, but if the village doesn't act distinctly, village residents are not included. So each municipality has kind of that autonomy. The town of New Scotland is in, but the village had to act separately, Voorheesville did. So these are the communities. We've added the City of Albany since then has signed their agreement with Mega, and the City of Schenectady and Troy. So, and this map doesn't show our friends out in Montgomery County as well. So, for example, if there are events happening, because we're all so close together here, folks can go to a neighboring community and take advantage of those opportunities as well. And we try to use social media so that everyone sees that. I don't know if the village is on social media, but a lot is out there about these types of events. We welcome your feedback on places you want us to be, to spread the word.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else right now, we appreciate you coming in again, and we'll see you in February.
Thank you, yes.
For questions we may have that night as well with the public hearing. So thanks so much. Let's see, where am I? I'm going to the agenda. Item number 3. Consider refunding sewer penalty to Matt and Geraldine Hans of 1 Marion Court. You probably saw in your materials, there was a discrepancy with the late payment versus the date that was actually on the bill. So the approval has to come from the village board. So could I have a motion to approve that?
I'll make the motion.
Did you say that, Nick? Okay, sorry, Nick. And second is John. So he beat you that time.
Are we clarifying these bills?
Yes, they've already, the office has taken care of it. They're changing the wording for the spring billings. So they'll take care of that. And I think it only affected this couple in that one time. So, yeah, because sometimes there's others, but it didn't work out that way. So, can I have roll call, please? Sorry, Catherine.
Trustee Whalen?
In favor?
Trustee Ganance?
In favor.
Trustee Farronkov?
In favor.
Trustee Scally?
In favor.
Mayor Janine?
In favor. Item 4 is resolution to affirm Mayor Deneen's appointment of Barbara Mulfelder to as a planning board member. Position was vacated by Deborah Hex and has a 5-year term which expires on March 31st, 2024. Seems so far away right now.
Happy to make that motion.
All right, Dean's going to make that motion, and Michelle's going to second it. And can I have roll call, please?
Trustee Whalen?
In favor?
Trustee Ganance?
In favor.
Trustee Farronkov?
In favor.
Trustee Scally?
In favor.
Mayor Janine?
In favor. And Barbara, welcome, and thank you very much for stepping up and joining the planning board. I'll give you a little applause.
We should correct that because Deb moved it.
Yeah, I would say I didn't miss something, right?
Oh, no, you did not miss. So we appointed Deb Hex to chairperson, I think, I want to say it was 3 months ago or something. Yeah, it's been a while. So she filled a vacancy we had, and we had a vacancy. So we got it. So that's how it all looks like, all these moving parts. Okay, item 5. Consider approving Memorial Day Parade along the village streets and Veterans Memorial Ceremony in Oristini Park on May 17th, 2020, per request of Judy Deneen. Parade will commence at 2 p.m. from the Altamont Fairgrounds. I think many people are going to be very excited about this.
I'll make that motion, but I have a question after.
Oh, sure, let's do the motions first. All right, Dean was first, second,
I'll second.
Nick, and before we move on to roll call, question?
Question for Judy.
Do you want to, can you come on up here?
No,
Mine?
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I need to know that
Well,
As in the past, when we institute this parade, you're gonna throw candy at my kids, because that's how we bought the house.
that's true.
Literally, they were sitting on the stoop as the parade went by. People threw candy at the kids while we were cutting the deal on the table.
Only if they have the bucket looking at them.
Yeah,
They'll be throwing something at somebody.
to be fair, something.
Prefer the candy.
I think this has been something that many, many people have asked about, even though it's only been a couple of years since we haven't had it. And Judy has arranged a great committee that has been working very hard and meeting on this. So it sounds like it's going to be a great thing, and more to come. I guess more information as we get closer. So, so I guess I need a. Oh, did you have a question? No. Roll call. We need a roll call on this stuff.
Okay,
Sorry about that.
trustee Whalen,
In favor?
trustee Ganance,
In favor.
trustee Farrakhan,
In favor?
trustee Scally,
In favor.
Mayor Denine.
In favor. It'd be pretty bad if I didn't say in favor. I'm just saying. 6, consider setting public hearing on February 4th, 2020 at 7 p.m. to consider adopting the Community Aggregation Plan Program administered by Municipal Municipal Electric and Gas Alliance.
So, I'm sorry, I'll
Oh, I think John beat me. He would be second. Dean is second. John is first.
Okay,
Okay.
I have a
Oh, yes.
question.
Yes.
Are we potentially also gonna have on the agenda that night to then approve,
Sure.
potentially?
Yep.
I wasn't sure how.
That we'll
timing
consider,
wise, how
we'll
that-
consider after the public hearing, we'll consider the local law,
That's okay.
Yep. which we have, it will be going out to all of you, and Allison tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, can I have a roll call, please?
trustee Whalen,
In favor?
trustee Ganance,
In favor.
trustee Farrakhan,
In favor?
trustee Scally,
In favor?
Mayor Denine.
In favor. Item 7, consider approval of an application from David Kettleman Jr. Altamont as firefighter membership in the Altamont Fire Department per request of Kyle Haynes, Chief.
So moved?
Nick is first, Michelle is second, and roll call, please.
Trustee Whalen,
In favor?
trustee
In
Ganance,
favor.
trustee Farrakhan,
In favor?
trustee Scally,
In favor?
Mayor Denine.
In favor. Item 8, consider approval of board minutes for October 1st, 2019, and November 19th, 2019, and December 3rd, 2019. Could I get, actually, we were all there, so we could do these collectively, if that's all right. Could I have a motion? Anybody? John?
So, yes.
You look like you wanted to approve.
I'll
Sure.
second.
All right, John, and Dean is second.
Trustee Whalen,
She's
In
going
favor.
right on.
trustee Ganance,
In favor.
trustee Farrakhan,
In favor?
trustee Scally,
In favor?
Mayor Denine.
In favor. And I'm going to add an 8.5 to the agenda this evening. To consider entering into executive session to discuss contract negotiations. Can I get a motion?
So moved?
Nick is first,
I'll second it.
and John is second, and can I have roll call on it, Captain?
Yes, trustee Whalen,
In favor?
trustee Ganance, trustee Farrakhan,
In favor?
trustee Scally,
In favor?
Mayor Denine.
In favor.
You know, I'm sorry, if I could just request that the board could also move that as an additional reason for going into executive sessions, also to receive advice of counsel with regard to the contract. It's a
Yes.
technicality, but it's actually outside of the.
Should I amend my motion then, the whole thing?
Yes.
All right, let's see if I say this right. No,
I'll move to amend that motion for the advice of council.
to include,
To include.
to include.
I'll second that.
We need another roll call, Catherine. This is what happened when our Patty's on, she's not here to supervise us. And our lawyer's paying attention.
Trustee Whalen,
In favor?
trustee Ganance,
In favor.
trustee Farrakhan,
In favor?
trustee Scally,
In favor?
Mayor Denine.
In favor. So thank you very much. If you're here later, we'll see you later, maybe when we come back. If not, have a great January. See you in February. Sorry about that, Al.